Welcome back, guys, to another episode of Business from the Vast Boat podcast on the Serious Angler Network. Guys, today I'm excited. We've got a guy that I've been trying to get on the show for a long time. Just so happens to also be a partner with me on the Serious Angler podcast. Guys, today we are going to bring on Captain Andrew Full. He's been a stand-up angler in New York for a while and has finally made the jump on going full-time in the guide business for chasing some world-class smallmouth on Lake Erie. So let's bring Andrew in and get into the show. What's going on, man?
Oh, not a whole lot, just enjoying the day, enjoying the life of self-employment. As we know, it's a glorious thing. So just trying to grind it out, get more clients, and go catch some more trophy smallmouth. So, and a little side note there too, not only do I guide on Lake Erie, but I can also do all of the Finger Lakes and small inland lakes and Steelhead and stuff. So we can get into that further as well.
Yeah, we'll get into that. I knew the steelhead, that kind of a thing, but that's really cool. So you'll go chase largemouth around and maybe show some people some little sneaky hidey holes in New York, huh?
Yeah, we're gonna try. It's the inland lake largemouth thing's a little tougher sail than chasing giant smallmouth on Lake Erie. It's just weather. Like weather sucks.
Yeah. Well, maybe and we'll definitely get further into this, but especially if you get, to where you're having guys come for multi-day trips or something, you could maybe jump on the river if it's a day to just blow it on the lake, but then get on the lake the next day or go hit some largemouth stuff, or I don't know, you can make like a cool multi-day trip for that purpose.
Exactly was my thought process. So
nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, great, man. Well, I guess let's get into kind of really now what your life is looking like, and then we'll kind of go through the story of Full Fishing Guide Service. But
sure,
right now, what is your day to day compared to what it was 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago? How far are we out now?
So what was my last day of work? Last day of work technically was Friday the 13th. So that was my last day of employment. So that's like a bad omen. It was supposed to be August, what would that be, the 16th. I was supposed to work on Monday, but my manager messed up putting it into HR and said that my last day in the branch would be that day. So I mean, technically my last day I think was 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th, because I had 4 days of vacation. So I didn't technically end on Friday the 13th, but my last day in the branch, because I was a banker before this, was, the great Friday the 13th, which is just kind of funny thing to joke about. But
that's awesome.
Day to day, yeah. So it was funny. Like I go, oh, thanks, you're destined. Like I literally said this to my manager. I was like, oh, thanks, you're dooming me to fail. Like I'm going to fail now just because of this. And she laughed. And she goes, well, you're always welcome back here. I was like, I'm never coming back. Like, see ya. Like I'm out. Like I can't. So, no, I mean, that was really nice of them to say that. I'm ever thankful for my 4 years of being a banker. I learned a lot, met a lot of people, but ultimately I knew the time was coming to where I was going to jump ship and become it, what some people would assume is a full-time guide, right? I'm only looking to do 100 to 150 trips a year because I don't want to burn myself out. So my day-to-day thing is I go to bed early because I'm up early. So I'm up probably every day on a normal day 6. If I'm fishing or guiding, I'm up at 4.
Wow.
And I'm averaging probably like two to 3 trips a week, which is exactly what I want. And then I got some side gig stuff that I'm going to do, just keep everything fresh until I can get an even bigger savings account surplus set up. And then there's some other things in the works that I'm working on. So yeah, hopefully soon I can just be doing everything for me. And that's the plan.
Awesome.
Yeah, awesome, me and my family.
Man. Great, dude. Well, we'll get into that. But
yeah,
where did this all begin, man? I mean, when did you really feel, okay, look, like this is gonna be this is going to be my mission, is going to be to create this guide business. And I understand it's been a process of advertising, and now you finally are to the point where you're, like you said, full time in the guiding world. But where did this all begin? And like, we can start with literally the beginning of your fishing, or where you really said, look, like, man, I start thinking about this and I want to do this for a living.
Yeah, so probably like 6 or 7 years ago. So before I became like a tournament bass angler and a local guy here, I
Yeah.
was a diehard salmon and steelhead chaser, and I always had people asking me to take them out for money because I was catching giant lake run salmon and steelhead, and I like, oh, I'll take the test, but I couldn't get off of work to go take the test, so it kept kind of getting bounced from year to year to year, and then I was like, you know what? I really love fishing Lake Erie. I want to take people fishing on Lake Erie, but I don't want to do it for free. I need to make money in transition. So about 3 years ago, I started doing research into getting my United States Marine Merchant license, which is a captain's course to become certified by United States Coast Guard to take people on inland waters, Great Lakes. We have a thing called the Erie Canal here in New York. I'm sure everybody's read about it in history books. But technically you need a marine merchant license in order to guide on the Erie Canal, and then a couple other inland lakes that have canal systems that connect to the Erie Canal. You also have to have your captain's license through the U.S. Coast Guard, which are a couple of the lakes I like and a couple of lakes I really don't like. But the cool thing about that is I can guide anywhere if I really wanted to, like the Tennessee River chain, Mississippi River, any body of water that's basically designed by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. I
Okay.
have to have a marine merchant license to guide on. It's not just a standard guide license.
Sure.
And then New York State has to have their own inland guide license that I got for salmon and steelhead and all the Finger Lakes that are not connected to the canal system.
Wow.
So, yeah. So the goal always was to get my guide license first and then maybe my captain's license, but
Okay.
it actually flipped. And then because of COVID, I got a little bit more leniency with time and stuff. And it worked out that the New York State guide license fell this year on a day that I was on vacation for work. So I was like, oh, no brainer. I'm going to get my guide license. So, yeah, now it's all transformed, and here we are. It was like 5 months later. I'm like, I'm done with my job, and I'm gonna guide and do some miscellaneous stuff and just live life. We only get one, so we gotta
Dude,
do what we gotta
exactly.
do.
Exactly, man. Well, I think about with what you just said, COVID, right? Giving you some more flexibility and time to get your captain's license and to get your actual state license. But man, dude, I really, from like just the aspect of, I listen to a lot of entrepreneurship and podcasts where folks had built businesses. And if you look at like the 2008 time period with the crash and everything, all these businesses were built because all these people lost their jobs. And really with COVID, some of that, obviously a lot of that occurred, but there's also just a lot of this, being away from work and not working, or working from home. And there, I feel like there's going to be just a huge push of all these people that are kind of going to follow their passion and doing that kind of a thing, because they're having that flexibility and that time of not doing their kind of traditional 9 to 5 job necessarily. So it's kind of cool. I mean, there's kind of a silver lining with everything,
Absolutely. So I mean, and kudos to everybody who does it because it's not easy. But now that I'm able to actually spend time with my 2-year-old daughter and my wife, it's actually nice. Like that was the main benefit of doing this.
Yeah.
Since March, I can't count on two hands how many times I actually had like a day off to spend with my wife and daughter at the same time. So
Wow.
now, a prime example today, normally I would have been guiding. I was supposed to have a guide trip as we're recording this today. And it got canceled due to wind, but I'm like, wow, I have nothing else to worry about or go to or do. I'm just going to breathe. We went on 2 walks, got breakfast at a coffee shop. It was a great day. So there are some
Nice.
glories to being self-employed, but it is very stressful at the same time because you're
Sure.
like, I need more trips.
Yeah, exactly. There's always the hunger for more, and
Yep,
you kind of, you have to have that, right, until you get to a
exactly.
point where you're established and you have kind of those relationships, I'd imagine in the guide world that are consistent, that are, look, every year you have the same guy that is trying to maybe hit his PB smallmouth in the second week of October or something, or whenever your giant ones play, and he's like, hey, every year this is my vacation. I want to come for 3 days or whatever it may be. And then you can kind of count on, okay, I know what my next year's fall is going to look like, or the summer, and you can kind of build that up. But in the meantime, it's like, I gotta make sure the wheels are going to be turning.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, the only way I was able to do this was from the blessing with my wife, but also having a couple side things lined up. So I have some income coming in. So I'm ever grateful to the people that are helping me out in that regards as well, while I get everything up and running and going to the best regard that I can make it go to. So, and
Yeah.
I mean, it takes time to build a small business up to a point where you're like, wow, I'm doing great. So, I mean, it takes 2 years to make it, and that's my timeline, is 2 years to get to that 150 trip goal. I don't think it's going to be that hard, honestly, but we'll see. You never know.
Yeah.
COVID, like COVID.
Exactly, dude. Stuff's always getting in the way, but
Yep.
that's awesome, man. That's cool that you have that goal lined up too. I think that's a good way of breaking things down, having a year mark, and saying, hey, look, here's the numbers on an 150 trip year. Here's what I can make work.
Yep.
It's a good way to do things, man.
And,
well, great.
And being a Lake Erie guide too, it kind of becomes difficult with scheduling because of wind and weather. So I need flexibility in my schedule to where I can actually move people around and be like, wind's gonna blow tomorrow. Can you reschedule to next week? I have these 2 days open, or the week after, and not drive up here this week, or can we fit it in somewhere down the line type deal. So that's the reason why I want to keep the numbers down, because if I schedule too many, then I actually screw myself and I'll have to put them with somebody else. So
yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit about that. As far as someone else, I noticed, like, on your social media and everything that you do, you kind of are almost in this like network of guides per se.
exactly.
So, like, you guys all kind of like, what does that look like, and what are kind of the benefits of that?
So the benefits are that, let's say on a Friday I'm booked and I have a network team that I'm like, I can send you them. I know they're not booked, so we have each other's schedules for the most part, like what's going
I
on.
see.
But they're everybody I work with, there's 4 of us. It's Destin Demarion, who's a Bassmaster Elite Series pro, right? He guides out of Presque Isle Bay on Lake Erie. So I'm always running things by him. I help him out if I can send somebody down there. If somebody wants a trip in Presque Isle, I'll send them to him, or vice versa. And I have Jeff Hippert, who is Lake Erie Trophy Guide Service. He's also one of my tournament partners. I fish with him all the time. And then there's Justin Warner of Just Fish Guide Service, new up-and-coming guy. He's got a little bit busier of a schedule than all of us because he works a full-time job. So it's, if I have one guy and I'm booked on Saturday, Sunday, it's either him or Jeff who will get him if they're not booked. And then there's actually a 5th guy who was the best man at my wedding, who also got his captain's license, that if anybody wants 3 people or more, I send them to him because he has a deep fee. So
I see.
Yeah.
Nice, man. Well, that's a good system. And kind of to go back to and this is just right. We've been friends for a while doing the fantasy fishing shows, but I've just been able to follow kind of your journey on social media is kind of the best way to put it. And it's been really cool because it started with you really pushing almost the advertising of saying, look, I'm gonna make this jump, and right now I'm just doing weekend trips.
Yeah.
And I feel like you did it in a very calculated, and as calculated as you can be when you're starting a business, but you did a very, very risk adverse way by having things lined up to being really busy and doing guide trips on the weekends. Yes, and that probably really sucks, working a 9 to 5, doing the podcast, and also doing guide trips on the weekends. But then you kind of started a baseline in getting people interested in showing stuff, and then now you're kind of working into that full time. So I just wanted to say, man, that was a good way to do it on my side of things, at least seeing that perspective. So
yeah. So virtually what I wanted to do, I'll kind of get in the beans of it here. I was like, you know what? If I can find a way to get 15 trips booked, right, between September, October, November, I was like,
Yep.
that is my baseline of what I need to make it comfortably if I have other stuff lined up to do.
Yep.
And I got to 13 and I was like, getting 15 won't be hard. And that was the drawing board. I was like, I'm done. So like, and most of them were weekend trips. So I was like, okay. And then once I made the decision that end of August was going to be Key Bank, I started booking some weekday trips. And now since I've done that, I think I have 22 trips booked or 23.
Congrats,
And that's before any of my salmon and steelhead stuff, which will start middle of October, run through December. And that's really where I want to go like heavy into it, because who doesn't want to catch a 35-inch brown trout or a giant steelhead that will jump 32 times running down a stream? So like that's my bread and butter. That's how I actually learned how to smallmouth fish, was understanding and reading current by steelhead fishing. So it's kind of, it goes tenfold on river systems. So there was a point, I think like 5 years ago now, I was a co-angler and I was telling my boaters where to go, because just looking at a map, I'm like, there's going to be big ones there. And I think I won every smallmouth tournament in my club as a co-angler just by directing my boaters.
That's awesome.
Because of knowing how current sets up on things. And some days those spots still work, but it's more of a wind-driven deal. So I was like, you know what? I can do this.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, like when we need to spend some time together, just learn. That's something I probably lack to an extent. I mean, I've been starting to learn current through. I mean, I grew up fishing and doing a little bit of fly fishing here in Colorado, and definitely can find current seams and that kind of a thing, and can catch fish. But I definitely feel like that's an area that I want to get better in, especially maybe to an extent you're right, as far as like it's the same thing, just bigger, right? When you're on the St. Lawrence River versus a stream that's got salmon in it running in it, and your rivers are still really big, but like that is I don't know, that's something that I think is a skill, and is something really cool that a lot of guys
I'll give you a
don't
little
realize.
tidbit right here. Current seams aren't that big of a deal unless it's a big flat area, like a big flat hole. What you want to learn is concussion behind boulders underwater. What happens underwater behind a boulder with water running over top of it and you don't see it? Once you understand that concussion on the way the water comes around a big rock, you'll understand how fish set up behind it.
Okay.
And when you're fishing 30, 40 foot of water with a shoal, you can kind of understand now with side scan, it makes it a lot easier. You can understand exactly how those fish are set up on it based on the concussion of that shoal with the current.
Okay. So walk me through, I guess, what that concussion would look like. Like I understand exactly what you're saying, right? Because I've caught a lot of trout right behind a boulder.
Yeah.
Right. So what is the water doing behind that boulder?
So a lot of times with concussion is the water will be rushing over top of it.
Yep.
And then behind it, it sucks back in underneath.
Yep.
So you have to understand what that rock looks like and where the current is going to be soft and where it's pushing back in and where it's flowing right over or by. And those fish a lot of times will sit in that soft belly where there's no backflow and where the current's going by. So you have to know where that spot is, that soft belly. So that concussion will roll and it pushes out to the side on the bottom. So that's your belly, to where you'll have a soft spot. So are they on the left or the right? Because if you ever look, they're never sitting behind a boulder straight behind. It's because there's a little concussion spot that there's a belly where there's no current, but it's tons of oxygen. And the bait just comes in, they'll go out, eat, and go right back into that belly.
Wow. So dip into the current, dump back in. Wow.
Yep.
Really cool. Cool, man.
So it's just understanding the little nuances of trout help me. I was like, fish is a fish. So why, if I go down the left side of this shoal, why aren't they over there, but they're only on the right? And then you can look at the surface current and understand why, what's going on the bottom, I guess, is the easiest way to explain it. Yeah.
Very cool.
But your graphs will tell you everything. Trout streams are a little easier because you can actually see like the bubble line.
You can see the fish. And you can also, a lot of times it's clear enough where you're like, oh, I see where they're setting up.
Yep. But that's the funny thing. Every boulder is different. So you might have a hard bend in a stream and a big boulder, and that fish will be on the inside. And then the next stream the next hard bend you'll go to, but the bank is undercut, so the water will push harder to the far right, and the boulder will be set up on the inside. That fish
Sure.
might actually be on the right instead of the left. So it's just understanding exactly how the current works, hitting that boulder, that you can learn a lot for a river smallmouth.
That's awesome, man. Awesome, man. Well, good tidbits there.
Yeah.
So, dude, like with everything that you've got going now, did you have any big mentors in starting this business, or has this all been kind of on your own, or have you kind of relied on anyone for advice and that kind of a thing through this process?
Yeah, so there's a couple guides in the area that I've talked to about it a little bit. A couple guys named Larry Jones, who's an old muskie guy, and then another guy named Terry Jones, which is the guy who pours all my Ned rig heads. It's his best friend from GM. So he's always been kind of around, and I've been able to pick his brain on the right way to go and how to start it up. So it's, like I said, it's been like a 5 or 6 year process in finalizing and doing everything. But those are probably the two that I've picked their brain the most about it. But the rest has been all just self-direction and a lot of studying and reading and understanding what I need to do to be successful.
Yeah.
So
awesome, man.
Yeah.
Well, great. Well, and so one other thought I just had towards the licensing stuff. So I didn't realize that's really cool. So you had to be I know it's your captain's license as far as on Corpse Lakes, U.S. Army lakes, or like the
Great Lakes, ocean.
And that's ocean too, right? So that's just your captain's license.
Yeah.
And I've seen, and this is, I guess, kind of maybe going to be more towards guys who are interested in starting their own guide service. Then you can kind of get your captain's license you can kind of do it on your own boat, right? Isn't that the whole thing as far as your hours and that kind of thing? And then there's the class portion of the test.
You just have to certify your hours that you've been on a boat. I want to say it was 280 or 300. I don't remember exactly how it is, but you can go back as far as you can remember back to your 16th birthday, and you just had to have it certified. So it has to be signed off by somebody that certifies that they knew that you're on your boat or owned a boat, and you just had to record all your hours. And basically the way I did it is I went back and looked at photos and vacations that I had marked down in my calendar from knowing what I was, because there was weeks where I was like, oh, I was out 71 days this year or 52 days. And anything over, I wanted to say either 4 or 6 hours was considered a full day. So you just put one. And you don't certify by hours, you certify by days. And by days, it gives you enough hours or days on the water. So that's what it was, 300 days going back to your 16th birthday to be certified. But it was either 180 or 200 of them had to be within the last 90 days. Last 3 years. Sorry, last 3 years.
Gotcha. Okay, gotcha. And this is kind of just, I've always been interested in this kind of thing from a hunting and a fishing standpoint, from the outfitter side of things. So, like, for instance, here in Colorado, you have to have a guide's license for our state. Mm-hmm. But in Nebraska, you don't. You can literally get away. So there's it kind of changes on a per state basis. So for anyone interested, you have to, if you're going to be fishing on Corpse Lakes, ocean, Great Lakes, it sounds like you need to also have your captain's license. But there's definitely guides here that don't have their captain's license, but have just their Colorado guiding license, right? And are guiding on lakes and that kind of a thing.
Yep. Yeah, so I don't know the exact extent of Army Corps lakes. I know it's river systems that have locks designed by the U.S. Army Corps.
That makes sense.
Then those ones you have to have your captain's license. The entire Tennessee River chain, the Ohio River, the Mississippi, just to name a few. I think the Cumberland River is also another river system that you have to have your captain's license on. So basically, if you see tugboats on a river system through lakes, you have to have a United States Marine Merchant license to guide.
United States Marine Merchant license.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Well, that's sweet, dude, to kind of hear some of that different. I didn't realize that with all those lock lakes, because you definitely see that. I mean, you always see those big tugboats and that kind of thing Tennessee River, like you're saying, and so those guys that guide down there, they've got to be completely certified.
Correct.
Nice, nice. Well, let's get into a little bit about what makes maybe Lake Erie world class per se. And it bothers me, man. I'll be honest, it bothers me a little bit that we haven't seen, at least semi recently, a big tournament go on out of Lake Erie. I mean, go out of Buffalo, for instance, per se, right, where that has been in the past. I guess let's talk a little bit about why it's just the way it is, man.
So first of all, the reason why it's a world class bass fishery is undoubted in my mind is pressure. We don't get the angling pressure that other places do. Last year we had angling pressure due to COVID, and it was tough. It was one of the toughest summers I've ever had on the lake, because we'd have 30 to 40 bass boats out there every day bass fishing because people weren't working. Yeah. So, and I mean, Buffalo is hands down probably the best smallmouth fishery. I mean, I'm biased because it's what I fish, but it's middle of August right now, and I'm going out fun fishing. Even with clients, we're catching 22 to 24 pounds every time and 30 to 50 bites. Just dumb numbers. And I'm running 2 to 3 spots. Like, one's a community hole, the other one is a little hidden, and the other one is just a rock pile that every time I pull up on it has 4-pounders. So it's like, why go anywhere else? And I have probably 1,600 waypoints to run, and half of them I haven't even put in my boat yet because I haven't had to use them because there's no pressure. So the bite has just been insane.
That's crazy, man.
We don't have giants. We have loads of 3 to 5 pound fish with random 6 to 7 pounders. As to where, like, the Thousand Islands, every boat has a 5.5 to 6 pound fish, it seems like. But down here, if you have a 5.5 pounder in your anchor in your bag, that's a really good fish.
I see. That makes sense.
Yeah, but this spring, I want to say I know of 6 or 7 7-pounders caught this spring. So, I mean, just to throw numbers out there, my boat personally, I have 6 over 6. I want to say I'm at 91 or 92 over 5, and like 1,500 fish landed over 4. Wow. And that's just part-time. We had days in June and May where we're putting 100 to 120 fish per day in the boat, and the average fish was 4.5 pounds.
Jeez, dude. Wow.
So,
wow, man.
Yeah.
Those are crazy numbers. And like, I don't know, I was really, especially because I'm headed out to fish the Open as a co-angler. What is it? I guess it's next week.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, but I was really paying attention to the Toyota series. I don't know if you saw the Johnson brothers just dominating, man.
Well, yeah, they ran 220 miles round trip. They're running to the lake from Messina, which is a gauntlet of a run.
Yeah, and it blew, right? It blew the second day really bad. I mean, like Chris Johnson, 25 pounds, 27 pounds, dude, to seal it. I mean, just
a little side note. One of my buddy won the co-angler side. This is the second time that he's been paired up with Chris Johnson in a tournament and won. So
no way.
We're speaking of Buffalo Major Tournament Series. The last time there was a major tournament in Buffalo was when this tournament series was the Costa, and they fished it out of Buffalo. And this is why big tournaments don't come to Buffalo. It was middle of July, and they fished 1 of 3 days.
Oh, wow. So it just gets that bad.
So any wind over 15 miles an hour southwest, we have 3 to 5 footers. Because the predominant wind in the summer is southwest, and it blows from Sandusky to Buffalo. So it has the entire lake to push wind.
Yeah.
It's fun.
It's fun. It's
like
really fun.
An 8 to 10 mile an hour wind, which you pray for when you're flipping grass on an inland lake, right? You're like, just give me a little riffle, but enough to see the grass.
Yep.
We're dealing with 2 to 3 footers.
Oh my gosh.
Because they're just running the entire lake.
Sure. Makes sense. And it's just an ocean out there.
Exactly. Like it's so vast. I mean, you've probably seen some of my photos where you just see nothing behind me. And that's
Oh,
because
yeah.
I purposely point the boat when we take pictures towards Ohio so you don't know where I'm fishing. Because the
Sure.
landmarks, you're like,
Exactly.
oh, I know where he is.
Sure. Sure.
So
That's crazy, man.
yeah.
It's just a different world. I think that's what I'm so excited to get up there. And it'll be fun, dude. We're going to get out, I guess, Saturday after the tournament, do a little
So
fishing.
we had it on my calendar as the 10th. I have a guide trip the 11th.
Oh, great. So
Yeah.
you're bailing. Incredible.
I'm not bailing. I have a
I'm
guide
just
trip.
kidding. Well,
I think
maybe
we had a
it'll be too windy.
miscommunication in dates.
I
So
think we did. That was probably on me then, maybe.
it happens. I mean, Bill's opener is the 12th. So if you want to stay through the 12th, we can get out Sunday in the morning and change your flight. Get out for a
Nice.
couple hours. The weather's good.
I'll look. I'll see what flights are doing.
Yeah.
Because kind of sucks now with all those fuel prices going up. Flights have also gotten a lot more
Oh,
expensive
it's
now.
brutal.
Dude, it was so cheap there for a while. Like it was so like even this spring, man. It was like I think I had booked a ticket to Dallas for like $38 or something.
Oh my gosh. The reason for that though is because supply and demand.
Mm-hmm.
And they're having issues still getting employees on the airlines. So
Yep.
they cut flights still. So the demand is way up, but the supply is low. So that's what's causing the price to go way up. Is before, even though they laid a ton of people off, people still weren't traveling and they were just trying to get flights to make any bit of money they could.
Yeah,
So
just sunk cost. Yeah. Dude, it's wild. It's wild. But man, that's really cool to kind of get an explanation on. So you're really it's the pressure. You're in an area where there's just not the masses are going to fish. I mean, like first of all, let's just talk about on Thousand Island area. Like it got hit by the Elite Series this year.
I think there's
The
been 9 major
BPT.
tournaments there this
Yeah,
year
dude.
already.
I mean, the Toyota Series, the Open's going to be there. I mean, just like,
And
oh
you're not
man,
even mentioning the weekend tournaments from like out of town that come. There I think there's like 40 boat launches, and on any given weekend there's a tournament out of there. And then we just
crazy.
had the New York State Fed tournament there last weekend or the weekend before, the 14th or
Yeah,
15th, and I think they had 100 boats. And then the ABA was there the weekend before, and then there was another ABA this past weekend. So it's just continuous pounding. And I mean, that place has so many fish and so many areas that just don't get fish that it'll probably always be good for the people that know how to catch giants there. But
yeah.
if you look at the weights, like the top 10 will just blow it away and then the weights just drop because a lot of
Hmm.
people just fish community holes and
Sure.
catch
They're,
100 fish a day, but they're all 2.5 pounders.
yeah,
And that's the way
yeah.
Lake Erie is.
Really.
Mhm.
There's still a bunch of pile of little ones everywhere.
Oh yeah, I could pull up on any rock pile and you'll mark them, and it'll just be a school of 2 pounders, and you can catch 50 drop after drop after drop after drop after drop.
Wow. Well, that's kind of a nice saving grace if you've got a day where you're just not on the big ones with clients and you're like, okay, let's go catch them.
Yeah, so I give every year I'm going to do this. I do $100 gift card for the biggest fish, basically to the
Yeah,
tackle
man.
shop of choice. So virtually what I'm doing out there, I tell my clients, I go, we're going big fish hunting. I mean, if we're not catching them and you want to go catch little ones, we can go catch 1 to 2 pounders all day. But I specifically enjoy targeting 4+ pound fish because a lot of it is idling around, marking them, spinning the boat around, putting trolling motor down and dropping on them and hooking them immediately.
Wow.
So, yeah. And then you just go to the next one.
Wow. And you're marking like a boulder or something that fish is sitting on, or specifically that fish could just be cruising anywhere and you're flipping to them?
So, in Buffalo, we have like 4 or 5 reefs and shoals, like major reef and shoals. So,
Mm-hmm.
virtually, you just kind of find one of those and you have to find transitions and little oddities on them, and that's usually where they are, but they could be anywhere on it at a given time. So to give you like a lay of a land on a contour map,
Yeah.
any one of these reefs could on the bottom could be 42 foot and they come up to 33. And at any
Okay.
point in the day, they can be anywhere on it. Because right now we have a lack of bait fish in the end of our lake, so they're just feeding on gobies. So I just think they're moving from rock to pebble to shell to mud to relax, back in the rock to feed. Because a lot of our fish are mangled, and that's because they're getting into that rock trying to eat gobies.
No way, really?
Oh
So
yeah.
they're all cut up then, you're saying?
Oh yeah.
That's crazy.
You can
dude.
tell goby eaters because their face are just shredded.
Wow, because they're just rooting around.
Exactly.
That's awesome. That's awesome. It's just so cool to me because the two places that I really have not been have been up north on those Great Lakes, smallmouth lakes, and then Florida. But I feel like everything else, I don't know, I can at least relate to in some way, like grass lakes like Sam Rayburn, or like, Kentucky Lake on big current driven river systems, or,
Yeah.
but not that part of the world ever. It's like it's kind of its own unique thing.
You're
It's
gonna
just
be
it's
spoiled
cool.
because our fish are dumb.
Dude. I'm so excited for that.
If you have any inkling of knowing how to bass fish,
Yeah,
you'll catch smallmouth.
that's awesome.
It's
That's
just
awesome.
how big will they be? Will they be 2-pounders, or are you gonna catch a 5 to 6-pounder? Like our
Yeah.
6-pounders, I swear, are as dumb as 2-pounders. Because
Really?
I mean, it was one of my guide client. Yeah, my guide client Steve, like 2 weeks ago, he caught
Mhm.
one just under 5 pounds, and it came 6 feet off the bottom to eat the drop shot as he was dropping on it. On my 2D, I literally saw the drop shot going down, and
And you
the
see the
fish
string.
literally came
Yeah.
up, and his line just went slack. I'm like, close your balance at it. And
Yeah.
he's like, oh, he's got it. I was like, that's a big one. I had 3 colors. I was like, that's a big one. Like, it's so dumb. Literally, right underneath the boat, came straight up and ate the flatworm.
Wow, dude. That is awesome.
It was
That
slick
makes you
calm,
jump.
no wind, bright sun. I was like, oh, here he comes. Like, get ready, get ready.
Bam.
Oh, yeah,
You're
it's
like,
fun. Like, they always say smallmouth relate to the bottom when it's sunny because it's easier for them to feed, right? I find
Yeah.
Lake Erie fish, when it's sunny, will actually rise up because we'll have bait fish just roaming around above them, and then at any point they can go down.
sure.
So when I'm dropping on them vertically, you have to know how to read your graph and watch a bait fall. But literally,
Sure.
I can watch them as my bait goes down. They'll be 2 foot off the bottom. They'll go down, and I just close it and set because they're almost always there.
Because he's on it.
Yeah.
Wow. That's wild, dude.
Based
And
on the
like,
way they react on my 2D, I know if he ate it or not.
that's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah,
Like,
it's fun.
that is fun, man. And man, like the only thing close to that experience wise I have is on our local reservoir, Horsetooth. We actually have a tournament there Thursday night that Turner and I, my team partner, need to do well in, because this is for we've got 2 tournaments left to make the Bassmaster team tournament on Eufaula in December. So this qualifies for that. So anyways, but right now the fish are deep for the most part. I'm sure there's some shallow pattern going on too. There always kind of can be. And this is all smallmouth. And like right now I'm pulling up to kind of community holes, humps, that kind of a thing. And again, on Panoptics, I'm seeing them, and there's a lot of little fish, a lot of groups of little fish right now. And like the difference in your 2 and 2.5, we're fishing for the 2 and 2.5 pounders. The little fish are 8 to 14 or 8 to 12 inches, and so squeakers, man, right? But like you can see them, and dude, these fish, right? And we just had a full moon open. There's a 50 boat tournament on there. And there's a lot of pressure. Just our lakes are so small that they get hammered when they get hammered. And so, but these fish right now, man, like they are tough, at least for me. Like I'm having to really work to get them to bite. And then every once in a while, they'll all start firing up and I can catch them. But like, it is not with what you're saying where I can just drop on one. Like I can drop on one and I can see him coming on Panoptics. I'm like, oh, get ready. And then he just follows it and follows it.
What ounce weight are you drop shotting with?
In
3/8?
I think it might even be lighter than that, dude. It might be a quarter. I bet it's a quarter.
I'm gonna give you something. Go to a half.
Go heavier.
Just drop a bomb on them.
Make them go react. I like it. It's like punching.
Dead slick calm, 38 foot of water. I'm literally dropping the heaviest drop shot weight I have in my boat.
Wow.
Because I want to go ripping past them and I want to get their attention. Just
I like it.
Try it.
I'll give it a shot. I will.
It's funny, like I've dropped on fish. I always have a 3/8 and a half ounce rod on my deck when I'm fun fishing, And if I drop on them on the 3/8 and I don't get a reaction on them, I'll literally reel it up and drop the half. And almost always they'll go down to it.
No way.
Yeah, almost always. And if they don't go down half, I'll go to a 3/8 and they'll eat it.
That's wild.
Yeah.
You got two options.
Yep.
So, like in the river at all, because I know you also guide. What is that river called? I'm sorry.
It's the Niagara River. You know, the world famous Niagara Falls.
Yeah, the
seventh
Niagara
wonder of
Falls.
the world.
Yeah,
so I'm fishing the upper and lower Niagara, so above the falls and below the falls. We don't ride the boat over the falls; we would die. But but yeah. So I mean, the river's fun because we can do some things that you can't do in the lake. I can fish in 6 inches of water or 35 foot of water.
Wow.
So, and catch them all the way through. But the issue is size. The Niagara River, the average fish is 2 pounds.
Okay.
If you can figure out how to catch 3.5 pounders in the river with a 4-pound kicker, you're having a very, very good day.
You're winning if it's a derb. Yeah.
Until the fall. If you come in October and we fish the Niagara River, we're going to catch 25 pounds every day. Because they just. So
the fish from the lake load in.
There's a fall spawn of bait fish, so the minnows spawn again in the fall. So lake fish actually don't come in the lake. Just the 4-pounders show up out of nowhere, and they're actually 5-pounders because they're literally this big around. They're
so full.
Yeah.
Wow. Dude, yeah. Like, and you keep talking about all these late fall dates. I mean, what is your primary guiding season? And we can go into all the different smallmouth fishing as well as the salmon and the steelhead. But what is your year going to look like as far as for guide trips?
So for this fall, or are you talking in general?
Let's talk about in general. So starting next year, you'll start guiding when? Because I know you guys have goofy seasons and stuff too.
We do. So we have this stupid thing called the ice boom that blocks the mouth of the river where Lake Erie dumps in, and it can hold up the ice till sometimes the first Saturday of May when trophy bass season technically starts, even though now people forget that it was extended and it goes from November through the third Saturday of June. So December 1st through the third Saturday of June, we have a trophy bass season. So one fish over 20 inches you can keep and fish with artificial or live bait. So
you can go out and fish is what you're saying.
Yeah. So, but we have a catch and release season all year round in New York State on every other body of water except for Jefferson County, which is the eastern end of Lake Ontario and part of the St. Lawrence. You can't fish there from December 1st through the third Saturday of June for bass.
Wow.
And I don't know what the reasoning behind that is. I think they're talking about doing away with it. I don't follow because I don't. Sure. It's 4 hours from my house. I don't.
Yeah, you're not guiding there anyways. Sure.
So, but yeah, my typical guide season for trophy smallmouth will probably go from the third week of April.
Oh wow! Okay.
The third week of April, if we're ice free, so as soon as the ice comes off the lake, we can catch them. But third week of April till about July 1st.
Okay.
This is going to be my one bass guide season. I'll throw in some trips in the middle of summer, but those are very technical fishing. We're dropping on them. We're not getting a lot of bites. And then probably the second or third week of August through October 18th. After October 18th, we start getting gale winds, like 40, 50, 60 mile an hour winds. It'll mess up our lake for 2 to 3 weeks and be mud. We can catch them in the mud. It's just grimy, tough fishing.
Cold and not fun.
It's kind of crazy. You might have a 38-degree day in November 1st, but the lake is still 50 degrees.
Wow.
Because it takes a long time for it to cool down.
Sure.
So what I'm going to do, I think after October 18th every year is I'm going to create like a call list. And I already have guys signed up for it this year. If I get 2 days in November, like the first week in November, and I'm not trout guiding, I can just be like, lake is good tomorrow. Can you get here? And just send out and whoever answers me first, they get it.
Wow. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
Let's go out and catch 100 fish and maybe 30 pounds for our best 5.
Jeez,
type deal. Yeah.
Jeez. And no one's probably out there that time of the year.
It'll be the same 5 guys that are always
the guides. Wow.
No, not even. A lot of the guides stop
hardcore
at the end of September.
Yeah.
So because the weather's so unpredictable and it gets cold. I mean, at that point, I'm looking for diehard bass anglers that are willing to grind it out, freeze for 6 to 8 hours, and just
Mhm.
crack giants.
Dude, that's wild. I like it.
So you have to be like bred to be ready to be ice cold because it's a 10-mile boat ride, 32 to 35 degrees out. There's probably going to be a breeze and 1 to 2 footers because that's the way it goes. And we're bundled up to the max, grinding it out and just sticking. Like we could run 4 rods, 2 rods in each hand, and we're going to catch 4. Like that's how dumb it is. And they'll all be 4 to 5 pounders.
That is like, these are numbers that I don't even comprehend. Like that's absurd, man. Like,
oh yeah. So like, I'll plug it right here. If you go to Destin DeMarion's YouTube page,
yeah,
he put up Lake Erie fishing in November with my buddy Jeff. So they're both very good friends of mine. And literally, I think Destin was doubled and Jeff was doubled at the same time in this 18-minute video. And their best 5, I think, went like 28 and a half.
Oh my gosh, dude. I need to watch that. That is absurd.
But like you can see, it was after a big snowstorm like a week later. So they literally had to move a snow pile at the boat launch just to get the boats in the water. Because there's like an 8-foot tall snow pile.
That is when you know you're tough. Wow. That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
So then the trout trips, when do those start and end?
So October 18th is right around the time that those will start. And we can do that through end of May. Well, beginning of May, depending on body of water. So
wow. You can do it all winter long.
Yeah. So we have a couple of hydroelectric dams that produce warm water that we can fish all winter long. The fishing isn't great, but you have a shot after January 20th through March to catch a true giant, like 15 to 20 pound fish. If you put the time in, you're not going to catch 5 to 10 fish in a day. You might catch 2 to 3, but one of them will probably be a big one.
Wow. Dude, that's awesome, man. This is such cool. It kind of gives you some diversity with everything too. You know, you're not like, I mean, I feel like, I don't know, there's so many guys that I follow in the tournament fishing world. Well, Destin's one of them, right? Where he has a guide service in between tournaments. There's so many guys that do that on lakes all across the country. But I feel like, okay, you kind of have to have I'm going to call it highly successful bass fishing guide service, because there's plenty of guides everywhere, even in Colorado, that are good guides on these. But like our lakes, you're not coming here for trophy bass fishing, but like you have to be on a specific body of water that people are seeking out. And I feel like Lake Erie is one of those situations. You know, I mean, you got Mille Lacs way up there too, obviously, and St. Clair, and there's a bunch of them. But like, as far as smallmouth bass fishing goes, it's one of the best, and in your words, the best, right? But like, it is up there. And then you have like all the southern lakes, the Lake Forks, the Sam Rayburn,
Chickamauga.
Gunnersville. Yeah, exactly. And so like, it's almost like you have to build it around a lake that's like that. Or even if you go all the way down Falcon, Amistad, right? Like those kinds of places that are so unique.
Clear Lake, Hell Delta. But that's the other cool part that people don't realize, like big time trout fishermen, the Lake Erie through New York to we'll call it Indiana because it goes all the way to Indiana, Michigan.
Sure.
We have a thing here called Steelhead Alley of the Great Lakes, where it's the best steelhead water for numbers on the East Coast. Like on any day on an Erie trip, we can go out and catch 40 to 100 steelhead in the 4 to 8 pound range.
That's crazy, dude.
Yeah.
Wow. You guys have a lot of a really, really cool resource, man.
And then we have trophy browns. Like I've never caught a 20-pound brown, but I've caught plenty that have been close. I don't weigh my trout. I mean, we're talking 38, 39-inch fish that are this big around, and they look like just lards of butter because they can't swim. They're so big. But like, where can you catch an 18-pound brown trout anywhere? You're going to have to go to Argentina or one of the Great Lakes.
Russia, Argentina, like that's crazy.
Germany, maybe. Germany has some giant browns too.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. Well, really cool. It's cool to be in that part of the world and doing something that you love.
Yeah,
Man.
absolutely. Thanks, man. Gotta
Yeah,
get you out here in like November. Like, hey,
dude.
fly
That's
tomorrow.
fly tomorrow. Get here now.
Yeah.
That's sweet, dude. I mean, so is your kind of target market anyone from like novice beginner bass fishermen or just fishermen in general, or people looking to get out and fish, all the way up to the tournament guys that are the hardcore, or what's your kind of target audience now, or what does that kind of look like?
So virtually what I want, and and in a perfect world, I want guys that can fish
Sure.
because I'm trying to gear my bass fishing guide business to the technical side of bass fishing. A lot of guides will just take you out there and be like, "Yeah, just drag it and you're gonna catch some fish." I actually want to go like trophy hunting with my clients and drop on them, rip blade baits, like guys that are like, "Okay, we're gonna use 12-pound test bait casters today, and we're gonna be ripping till our arms fall off to catch that one giant." I want guys that are coming specifically to try and catch the biggest smallmouth they can.
Dude, I like
It
that.
If I wanted to be a run of the mill standard guide, I would go buy a deep V and just drag tube jigs and Ned rigs all day on the abyss and be like, "We're gonna catch 5 to 10 fish. We're gonna have a shot at a couple big ones. Let's go have a ball." I tell
Yeah.
all my clients we might catch 5 today, we might catch 3, we might catch 50 or 100. I can't tell you that because we're gonna be specifically looking for bigger fish.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Dude, I like that
and
because go ahead.
no, I was gonna say, and if they bite, it's going to be a great day. If they struggle like bass fishing is, we might have a crap day, but we're going to have a shot at a true giant. You just got to get them in the boat.
Yeah. No, dude. And the reason I've always been hesitant, because I've definitely tossed around the idea of, okay, like, should I start a guide service somewhere? I've always thought that'd be a really cool thing, kind of supplemental and to keep you on the
Yeah.
water for tournament fishing and my main goals. But like, to me, I wanted it to be a situation to where I was with guys that were similar to me, right? That I was teaching them something that they weren't used to. And I think with that, with Lake Erie, I mean, I hope to see like you get to a point to where you have the guys that are in Texas and Louisiana and like those guys, right? Who are like,
Yeah.
man, it's 104 degrees right now in Texas. I want to go chase some trophy smallmouth and go up there. And they know how to use a freaking rod, but you're
Oh, yeah.
showing them how to do things up on Lake Erie.
Like, let's go idle around, look for some rocks, see if we see them. And then when we do, I'm going to spin the boat around, hop up on that trolling motor. I'll stand next to you and walk through, and we're going to freaking mash. Like,
That's
let's go.
good. Yeah. Yeah. I love
So,
it. Awesome, man.
and that's what I'm gearing towards. Like, I want guys to come up from South Carolina, Florida, and I want those guys to come up here and experience what we have because a lot of them don't have a shot at catching giant smallmouth, and I want to create that outlet for those guys that give them a chance.
Absolutely,
So
dude.
that's where I'm at with this, and I'm ever thankful for like the serious angler thing too, right? Like a lot of my trips have come from the
Sure.
podcast at this point, and then kayak anglers. Like if you're a kayak angler, tournament fisherman, I'm probably the guide you want to go with because we are going to friggin' mash some fish.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not going to take you out to the abyss and just drag Ned rigs all day. That's boring. Let's go
Mhm.
drop some drop shots and smack on them.
Dude, I love it.
Let's see what you're made of.
I like it. I like it. Well, man, that's
So,
probably a good way to kind of start wrapping things up. I mean, how can people follow along with everything that you've got going? And obviously,
yeah,
guys, this is kind of almost an internal podcast. I'm glad we're finally getting the chance to do
yeah.
this with the serious angler and everything else. But man, how can guys follow along with the guide service specifically?
So first of all, obviously, Serious Angler, you can message me right on there because me and Bailey like co-run the Instagram page, so I see everything.
Mhm.
Or right on there is my Instagram handle, Full Fishing Guide Service. Or you can hit me up on Facebook. I have my personal page, which you can reach out to me there. Or I want to say my business page is like Andrew Full Fishing Guide and Bass Tournament Angler, something along those lines. You can
Yeah.
reach out to me there as well. Everything from my Instagram page moves over to there. I have them linked. But anyway, or you can call me 716-535-0908 or shoot me an email at fullfishingguideservice@gmail.com. I respond usually within a couple minutes. So
Awesome, man.
yeah.
Awesome. Well, guys, jump on that opportunity to go chase some world-class smallmouth or go chase some trout around. That sounds cool too. Well, sweet, man. Well, I kind of always ask my guests on the show, last kind of piece of advice, I guess let's go specific to you here. Through this process of kind of, it sounds like you had a good relationship at the bank and everything, but also you were looking to kind of follow your passion and start this guide service. What's your biggest piece of advice to someone looking to do that with whatever their passion may be?
Do your research. Don't get overwhelmed by the information. Take your time. Make sure it's the right decision for you. And most of all, make sure you have the best support system possible. I would not be able to do this without the support of my wife and my family, because it's a terrifying jump. Me and my wife are now both business owners. So it's ever crucial to have the support and to make sure you have a business plan. Know what you're doing before you do it, and be prepared 6 months in advance for anything that could happen. So, yeah, that's my advice.
I like it, man.
Have a plan. Be prepared and have a plan.
I like it.
And if it fails, you can always do it again. Just always have a backup plan.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing too with all this, right? Like, I mean, to an extent, you get especially, and you and I are kind of in similar positions as far as we're full time in a career. Like, you can always go back and get that job.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Not necessarily going to be the best case situation or what you want to do, but I feel like once you've especially already done something, you can always backtrack.
Exactly.
Things don't work out.
And that's what I'm thinking about doing in January, February, right? I'm like, I have this driving job I can do. I have to figure out probably in November how much money I'm going to need to make through January through March, steelhead fishing in March. So hopefully people want to go out in March, and then April will be bass fishing again. So there's a 3-month lull that I have to figure out my income for, which I'm ever hoping that I can get enough trips September, October, November to carry me through. And then some in the beginning of December. But, always have a backup plan. That's why I have other things lined up as well.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. All right. Last thing. Biggest smallmouth, largemouth, and spotted bass, where you were and what you caught them on.
All right, spotted bass. I've never caught one, so we'll take that right off the list.
Let's do that sometime. Let's do a trip to somewhere where there's some. Well, actually, let's go to California. It'd be really cool. But let's go chase some Magnum ones, even if it's like Smith Mountain Lake in Alabama or something. It'd be fun.
I mean, I'm down with that. I mean, we'll figure it out. I would love to go somewhere over winter. I just don't know about the boat deal, just because I have a single axle trailer at the moment. I don't want to pull through snow. If I had dual axle, it'd be a little better. But biggest smallmouth. Now you're making me think, because I don't really keep true records of everything I've caught. I'll tell you this, I've caught one over 7 on a worm harness trolling for walleye when I was like 12 years old. I remember that one. I don't have a picture of it, but tackle wise, I want to say it's 6'8" or 6'9". It's like 6'8", 6'9", fun fishing. It's almost 7 pounds, which I'm going to get a 7-pounder this fall. Like, I just have a gut feeling it's going to happen.
Love it.
I've had a couple on that I'm like, that was an absolute giant that have come off, which stinks. And then largemouth, my biggest largemouth is 6'6" in New York, which is a giant.
Well, yeah, no, that's a big one, man. So what did you catch the smallmouth and largemouth on?
Drop shot.
Both of them?
Both of them were on a drop shot
and fool, aren't you?
Yeah. So, but I have caught a couple giant largemouth on spinnerbaits that have come close to that 6'6" mark.
Sure. Yeah. Sure. Sweet, man. Are those lakes that you're allowed to talk about, or not lakes that you're allowed to talk about?
Okay, I'll be perfectly honest. The largemouth I caught was on Honeoye Lake. It was on a wild grape roboworm 9 years ago. And then the one that was second closest was on Chautauqua Lake first weekend of May on a spinnerbait. I'll tell you the exact one. It was a finesse war eagle. Mike McClellan, get 5 in mouse.
Yeah, dude. I like those finesse war eagles.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. So
that's what they were caught on. That one was 7 or 8 years ago. So it's been a while since I've caught a true giant.
Sounds like you need to break some records, man.
Yeah, it's hard in New York, but I got my eyes set on a couple lakes. I'm going to start fishing a little bit more when I have some free time and some extra money. That just have absolute giants in them. Smaller lakes, not really known about, so I'm not going to mention them by name. But the 7-pounder will probably come out of Erie this fall. If not this fall, it will be next spring because I'll be out way more than I was this year.
Awesome, dude.
So
awesome, man. Well, dude, thank you so much for taking the time out to come on the show today. Absolutely, man. I really appreciate it. And man, best of luck with living out your dream. And
thanks, dude.
I'm excited to see what all this builds, man. It's been cool just watching your journey thus far.
Yeah, thanks, Deacon. I appreciate it. And we're glad to have you here at the Serious Angler side as well. So we just got to keep plugging along here.
Exactly, dude. No, I'm having a blast. It's been awesome. I'm excited.
Just loved the 45-minute video too. That took up a little bit of time in my down day the other day. So
thanks, dude. That thing was so long. Yeah, for anyone that has not seen, I posted my Lake of the Ozarks tournament, and I should have probably broken it up day by day, and I also did a breakdown, which I'd like to do kind of more in between and talk about like while I'm fishing or something. But check it out on the Serious Angler Podcast YouTube channel. Again, I'm still posting on the Business from the Bass Boat podcast platform as well as the Serious Angler platform, and that's just to try and push as much of this over to the Serious Angler. There will be at the end of, well, let's call it middle of September, the Business from the Bass Boat podcast platform will be no longer. So please make sure, and at this point, come over to the Serious Angler podcast. Again, my shows are on Wednesdays, and then we have the 2 Serious Angler shows every week, as well as all the YouTube content. So, guys,
we have you covered Monday through Friday.
Every weekday. If you're bored sitting there at work and trying to figure things out, man, you will definitely learn something from this show. And I think that's been the biggest takeaway. So, awesome. All right, buddy. Well, you have a good rest of your night, and I really appreciate you coming on. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, no problem, dude. You have a good one.
All right. See you later.